So today I want to talk to you about how you can get basically free chicken meat in your freezer. Just like anything, there's going to be labor involved, there's going to be some cost involved. So, there's always something. So remember, if anyone says free, it's never free. So let's put it this way, it's practically free. So these chickens here, we hatched all these from our own eggs. And actually, initially, we didn't even hatch them from our own eggs because, of course, we're starting a new flock here in Tennessee. Because we're starting a new flock, we had to get eggs from a local chicken farm. If you want to do the same thing, all you got to do is go talk to some local chicken farmers, backyard chicken farmers. Just let them know that you're looking for eggs from a flock that has a rooster. Preferably at least one rooster for every 4 or 5 chickens would be good, because this way you know the eggs are going to be fertile and you're not going to waste your time trying to hatch eggs that are not fertile. So you talk to those locals and just ask them if they wouldn't mind giving you a dozen eggs or so from within a day or two of being laid, and just ask them if they just mind pulling them out of their coop and putting them right into an egg carton for you, not washing them, not refrigerating them, and just trying to keep them at somewhat room temperature so they can still be incubated, and try to hatch them within a few days. They say you can go up to 7 days. We're actually testing that theory right now because we have eggs in our incubator that are about 7 days from the day they were laid. They were put in the incubator, but typically I like to try to get them in there within a couple of days. Get yourself a small incubator. You can get cheap incubators online. Even the cheap ones work if you just put a little work into it. You might have to turn them by hand if you don't get one with a turner. The one we have is a 42 egg incubator. It's made by Farm Innovators. It has a egg turner that came with it. So Rural King, I think, sells the same incubator we have for about $100. I think we paid a little over for that, but I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can see where we got our incubator and which one we have. We've used the same one for years. We've always bought this one whenever we want an incubator because it's inexpensive and it will hatch a lot of eggs. You don't have to put 42 eggs in it. You can put 4 eggs in it. You can put 42 eggs in it. So if you just grab a dozen, start that way, get yourself started, put them in the incubator, get them hatched out, either build a coop or get yourself a small coop, get them in there, grow them out. If you discover you have roosters, once they get big enough, we take all but a couple of roosters. So we like to try to keep one for every 4 or 5 chickens, one for every 4 or 5 hens, I should say, so we can have our own fertile eggs. Take any extra roosters you have and just let them free range. Don't give them any food. If you want, throw them some corn or whatever. If you like to throw them corn in the yard and feed your chickens, sometimes that's fun just to do. But if you have enough property, even just an acre, even less, they can just free range. So what we do is we just leave our roosters to free range. As you can hear them in the background, they're everywhere. We probably have about 9 or 10 roosters, and we probably have 8 or 9 hens. So we actually have more roosters than hens right now. I think 7 of them are free ranging right now, and they're just roaming around the property. They've been out here for probably 2 or 3 weeks free ranging. We do live in the woods in Tennessee. We have 27 acres here, so there are a lot of wildlife, including coyote and possum and raccoons. So you're gonna have predators. You got predators in the sky, hawks, eagles. So they can get picked off by animals typically during the day. Usually there's not as much of a threat because we're around, we're working, we're making noise, and they don't typically go too far from where we are because they know they're somewhat protected in this area. At least that's kind of the idea that I have. I assume that they feel safer being closer to buildings and people and other animals. I'm finding at night what they're doing is they're just roosting up in the trees. So they tend to be pretty smart about that. They find safe places to roost and sleep when there's inclement weather. Looks like they hide out in the brush. So I've seen them hiding out and sleeping underneath the mobile home, underneath the campers. Of course, predators can find them there. Some people might not like that idea because they're thinking, well, you're leaving your chickens to predators. That's not fair to them. Well, these chickens are now 9 months old, 6 months old, and a lot of people raise chickens at 8 to 10 weeks and then butcher them. And they live in a confined little pen in people's backyards to raise meat birds. Well, these chickens have a much better life than that. They get to free range, roam around, eat bugs. They're fairly safe, relatively safe being in this area where we are. When they get large and we get sick of having too many roosters around the property, because this noise may eventually get annoying, we can go, collect a few of them, and we can stick them in a pen or a cage. The next day we can wake up and we can, butcher 3 or 4 of them and put them in the freezer. But chickens don't take too much work to process. The worst part, I think, is really feathering them. If you don't like feathering them, what I'll do is I'll just rip most of the feathers off, and then I'll just skin them, and then I'll just have, basically skinless chicken. And it's the most natural meat you can get, because these animals are not being fed store-bought food. They're being just fed anything that they can find, bugs and leaves and whatever they can eat. So really, it's the most natural meat that you can get, and you don't have to pay hardly anything for it. You get your eggs, you hatch them. Once the chickens are fully feathered and big enough, after probably a few months, you raise them for, I don't know, 6-8 weeks even, and you can probably start just free ranging them, as long as you're not in a really cold area. So of course, like I said, there's going to be some exceptions, but once they're big enough, just let them out and free range and eat off the land, and they can grow that way. If you wanted to further protect them, you can get some poultry netting and just stick that in the ground and just give them an area to graze on. You can move them around, and if you want to give them a little shelter, but you don't have to really give them any food, because what we've discovered having them out here is they're not starving, they're staying big, they're not dying. They seem pretty healthy, and we're going to probably butcher some this week. Probably going to grab a few of them and put them in the freezer, because we're running low on meat. We figure, you know what, if the meat's a little tough, we'll make some soup, we'll shred it up, put it in a crock pot, and it'll be good, healthy food for us. So I just wanted to share that with you, to kind of go over with you what our plan is and what we're doing with this. We're going to keep doing it, keep trying it, and if anything changes, if it works out, it doesn't work out, we'll actually probably do an update video at some point and show you when we do butcher them and let you know what we're getting out of them, because you do have to feed them for at least a couple months. But the chick starter feed isn't that expensive. You can feed them corn or cheaper foods, cracked corn, things like that. You can get for $10 for a 50-pound bag. You're just growing out meat. You don't have to give them any special layer feed or anything like that once you discover they're roosters. But if you have any animals or any way you're putting meat in your freezer for virtually no or low cost, I would be very interested in learning about that. And if you put that down in the comments, other people will see that and we can share information. So that'd be great. I appreciate it. So just wanted to do this quick little video. It's just a little something I thought about while I was out here working and watching the chickens roam around as we're talking about running low on meat, and just kind of dawned on me, I don't know if anyone else is doing this, but it was just something we thought of trying. I hope you're all having a good day. We'll see you next time on the homestead.